Hey, thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to New Mexico in Focus. Samantha, I'd like to start with you. The film office, the New Mexico Film Office, is out with new data. What is the status of the film industry locally right now, and how does it compare to recent years?
Yeah, so in fiscal year 26, which was just released on June 30th, the direct spend in New Mexico went up by 4.7 million over fiscal year 25, and the number of productions increased by 4. But I think for me, the drought is really that there was 3 strong years from fiscal year 22 through fiscal year 24, and then in 2025 and fiscal year 25, there was a steep single year drop by more than half. Now, fiscal year 26, we're up a little, productions are up, but it's kind of like a plateau at the bottom more than a real climb back up.
So it's a pretty slight bump after a really big plummet,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, in your article for Viva New Mexico, which is an online outlet that focuses on the importance of arts and creatives on social issues, this is how you describe the experience of film industry workers hearing this good news about, spending and productions being up slightly. You said, quote, imagine checking the weather forecast during a severe drought to discover there is a 100% chance of rain. Then you step outside to find an endlessly sunny blue sky.
Yeah.
Why is that the case?
I think it's because it's essentially a micro macro thing, right? You're seeing these positive headlines as a film worker, and then you're experiencing personal unemployment or underemployment. Many of the folks that I spoke to, both on and off the record, have not worked steadily in at least a year. So that's it's disconcerting, it's dissonant to see, headlines hyping the rebound when in fact, you are not building any of your retirement. You don't have health insurance maybe anymore. And most importantly, you don't have the work that you love and that you've worked so hard to do.
And is that because that bump is just so thin that it's not making a significant impact on the ground with how people are feeling? Is it a delay in perception catching up with those numbers?
That's honestly a question that I don't know the answer to. But I would say that I think it probably has something to do with how the spend is going, like who the spend is going to, versus, and whether or not it's trickling down, for instance, to actual workers.
Okay. Well, Tyler, you've spent your entire career working in the film industry, more than 2 decades, as I understand it. How has the industry changed over the years?
Just the amount of work. I would say even less than 5 years ago, the same crews and people that I work with, we would all be working on a show, have another show lined up, and still be prepping for a third show. It was a full-time job. There were days where shows would line up back to back that I would work 20, 23 days in a row on 3 different shows.
You mentioned your key grip. For those who aren't familiar with that, tell us a little bit about your work.
Basically, it's lighting and camera support. I work closely with the cinematographer to achieve all the things that they need, whether it's mounting cameras to cars, mounting cameras to ceilings, and the same with the lighting department. If you are on set and you can't just put a light on a stand, you need it mounted to something. We're support for lighting and camera.
Okay. And now, Alonzo, I want to get you in on this conversation. You co-founded an Albuquerque-based film collective called Dustwave. How does that work?
Yeah, so Dustwave operates on a mutual aid, mutual support model. So what we do is we work together on our film projects, we support each other, we help each other promote our projects, we share equipment, we share studio space, and we share other resources. And it was really kind of put together out of the desire to have more opportunities to make films kind of at the creative level. Within the industry, there's just not too many paths for folks actually writing and directing and so forth to get reps. So a lot of
meaning like weightlifting, like
exactly. I mean, all this stuff is just like anything. The more reps you get, the better you are. the more confident you get, the more ambitious you get. And I think, so for us, really was just in response to that and the lack of opportunities, you know, and the lack of money, right? It's a lot easier for us to support each other. Hey, I'll work for free on your project if you work for free on my project, sort of model. That's kind of how it came to be. In the last few years, we've done a lot of fundraising, crowdfunding, and so forth to be able to pay our folks something, right? Which is awesome. But you know, it is very, very DIY, guerrilla everything, and so you know, and that's kind of where the Indy 50 proposal that I wrote about came out of.
And we'll get to that here in a little bit, but I want to stick with kind of what the reality of this bump has been for folks on the ground. Are you seeing more people engaging in Dustwave now that productions have slowed up?
I mean, I'm seeing there's a lot of folks that don't have much to do, and they want to keep doing things, and so I'm seeing a lot of indie productions happening. You know, I think we did, I don't know, maybe 10 different projects last year. And so, yes, there's a lot of pent up desire to make movies. But, you know, I don't think, from my standpoint, I just see a lot of people hurting really bad right now.
Tyler, you mentioned you are hurting. You've had a slowdown in your career. Used to be a full-time job. You're not able to make that happen anymore. Are you feeling the slight increase that the film office has reported at all?
No, not even a little bit. That's kind of one of the things that got me involved in this kind of conversations was you just keep seeing online over and over again how wonderful New Mexico is for filmmaking and how everything here is in the industry is so great. And being somebody that's where all of our family's income comes from, and now we have zero income, it was really difficult to read all of these posts over and over again about how wonderful everything is. And it got really upsetting and, you know, caught me at the wrong day, and I made a couple of comments that, you know, ended up being seen by the right people. But as somebody who's on set for the past 25 years, I do not see any increase, nor do I see predictions of that in the future. As a key grip, it's a department head. So I'm usually hired on films or TV shows pretty early on in the process. Like I had mentioned earlier about receiving your phone calls, I would receive those calls 3 to 6 months in advance. To, you know, we have a show coming, we need to start doing prep.
So you can really start to plan.
You can plan almost a whole year based on pre-production and what's coming next. There's absolutely zero opportunities in the future.
Your phone's not ringing.
Oh, absolutely not. There has not been, and it's not even just me. If I talk to colleagues that I work closely with in camera and lighting departments, they also have no upcoming shows in order to work their jobs and pay their bills.
How have you been able to weather this financially?
I signed up with a temp agency and have been working in warehouses. It was a life-changing decision. To be honest, had to cry about it and took a lot of thought. It felt a lot like giving up on my life. Like, I love my job. Being a grip is the only thing I ever wanted to do. And making the decision saying, well, we've eaten through all of our savings and there is zero income coming in. So making the decision to get a non-film industry job really mentally destroyed me for a little while. And it has been very hard. That if you do film set work for so many years, it is such a completely different world than like a 9-to-5 job that I am having a very hard time adjusting my life to being a 9-to-5 employee rather than doing what I love best.
Right,
is
your
being a
passion
key grip.
and what you've
Yeah.
been able to do for more than 2 decades.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's
Tyler,
hard to do a job that you don't really care about.
100%. I think a lot of people watching right now could relate with that. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing what you're going through and how hard this is, and being willing to share your story with folks, because I know that's not easy. We did ask some of our viewers to chime in who work in the film industry about what they're going through, and I want to lift a few of their experiences as well. Giovanna wrote on Instagram, quote, "I've worked in the film industry since 2013. I've never seen it as slow as it is now. Aside from a week or two every now and then on non-union gigs like commercials and ultra low budget indie projects, I've not worked since October of 2025. My insurance benefits will have run out by the end of this year. I'm out of unemployment insurance." Keith Allen West wrote on Facebook, quote, "The numbers may be improving, but people working in New Mexico film are still not feeling a meaningful recovery on the ground. A production bump is encouraging, but the real test is whether crew members are consistently working, actors are auditioning and booking, local businesses are seeing sustained spending, and New Mexico creators have a pathway to move their own projects forward." And finally, Dave Gibson wrote in as well. He said, "I haven't felt a bump in 2026 at all. I'm an actor, and my last New Mexico audition was January 26th, 6 months ago. I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, so maybe that bump the NM Film Office is talking about is in non-union productions." Samantha, did the film office numbers distinguish between union productions and non-union?
They did not to my knowledge, not based on what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
In my experience, so I have been a 480 union member since 2010, and I do that a lot. But I also own and operate a small grip rental house that caters to independent, non-union, small budget films. I have not rented out a piece of equipment yet this year. So when these posts talk about, oh, there's all these low budget, independent, non-union films making in New Mexico, I'm also not seeing any of that. I don't believe that these bumps, even in non-union work, are there. My company caters and has been a staple in grip rental
And you're
for
not seeing it?
No, not even a little bit.
Samantha, you also reported on the safety net that exists for these workers and how it's ripping. Can you talk about why it's not coming through for people right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something I actually didn't know until I started working on the article. So below the line workers, which is like camera operators, grips, wardrobe, set dressers, the way that they get health insurance is by on every union signatory job, their employer contributes to what's called CAP, which is contributions against premium payments. And so this helps, I think the film industry was built for irregular but steady work, right? So you're working jobs here, you're paying into your CAP account, maybe you have a little stretch here where you don't have work, but you do have access to health insurance. When you stop working, when your employers stop contributing, your balance just sits there and then slowly starts depleting every time a premium comes due. After that, it's basically full-priced COBRA premiums for people who do not have steady work. So, and also when I spoke with Tyler for the interview, it's true with retirement accounts as well. Whenever you get to a point where you're saying, inflation's everywhere, gas, groceries. Tyler actually had to withdraw and cash out his retirement account that he's been paying into throughout his career. So I think that this maybe system was built for the type of work that does not exist.
That doesn't exist. Well, Alonzo, you have proposed something called the Indy 50 Project. You mentioned it earlier, which would put some of the state's film tax credits towards small local productions.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how your proposal would work?
Yeah, so all I'm saying is here's this group. We don't oftentimes have the resources to pay, what studios or even bigger indies can pay crew, right? And then we have all these folks that are out of work and hurting. And so what I'm saying is 1% of what fiscal year 26 spend was, which I think was 101 million. So 1 million really, to support New Mexico creators to be able to hire crew at a fair rate.
And these would all be New Mexico residents, the crew, the actors.
That's exactly right.
The filmmakers.
That's exactly right. And so, I think what our return on the tax credit, what we recapture on the tax credit spend is quite low.
In terms of what the state gets back for
Exactly.
every bit it invests.
And again, I'm not an economist, but I have to think that a program that really, really is focused on New Mexico residents, New Mexico creators, and New Mexico crew, I think that recapture will be higher.
Okay. Well, you said you're shopping this with state lawmakers. Have you gotten any
So I've-
appetite for it?
Yeah, that's well. Look, the whole thing was developed with New Mexico creators and crew. I mean, that's really, this wasn't just, it didn't just come to me. This is just stuff we've been talking about for a long time. What if? And there are programs like this all over the world that work. I'm going to tell you right now, there is no French cinema without subsidies, right, from the government, right? They can't compete with the Avengers and stuff like that, right? So these aren't radical programs, right? These aren't radical programs. I've talked to folks from the Media Arts Collective, which is a program that's run by the state and CNM. And then I've talked to folks at UNM. And then I have talked to some state senators. The issue is we have a lame duck governor, right? And so we're kind of waiting. A lot of folks are sort of waiting for that, for the new governor to have the momentum to try to do something different. We need to start investing in our own to create some sort of floor, some sort of stability. And I think with this program, the target would be 2,400 work days. Just not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's a start. It's a start.
Well, thanks for sharing a potential solution to what we're seeing and for sharing your lived experience of this and your reporting, Samantha. I really appreciate you all coming to the table today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.